Good evening, everyone. I'm Sherry Jackson.
And I'm Ken Last. Birmingham schools are preparing for business as usual in the wake of yesterday's big meeting.
And shoplifters bolt from a Walmart, leaving behind a 1-year-old child.
And I'm meteorologist Ted McInerney in for Mark Prater. It is hot outside. The high heat is building in. We will have temperatures feeling like 100 to 110. We'll talk about our rain chances coming up.
And in sports tonight, one Auburn sophomore will not be returning to the Tigers coming up for fall practice. And UAB head coach Garrett McGee breaks down his team's chances at CUSA Media Days. CBS 42 News at 5 starts right now.
The mayor of Birmingham and police chief A.C. Roper have called a news conference to announce what they call a high-profile arrest in a cold case. We have a reporter live on the scene, and we'll have an update later in our newscast.
But we begin tonight with the latest on the Birmingham school system. After weeks of uncertainty, Birmingham City School parents can finally start planning for the start of the school year.
It comes after the state's decision Tuesday that students will actually return to class on time. The question now, though, is will the 51 Birmingham City School campuses be ready on August 20th? Scott Packard's been looking into that today. And Scott, what have you learned?
Well, Sherry, every one of those principals we spoke with today say they'll be busy over the next month, but ready August 20th. They're happy to have a sense of normalcy start to return to the school system after several weeks of being in the dark.
This is a summer program.
J.H. Phillips Academy Principal Mark Sullivan is more than happy to show off his campus.
Count these. One segment here.
And the students taking part in the Summer Advantage program.
We just want to make sure that when school starts, the kids, the teachers, the parents have everything they need in order for us to have a productive year.
The first 2 weeks of a school year are the most important. And if we get off to a good start in those 2 weeks, then we'll have a good year.
A lot goes into making sure everything is ready when the rest of students return for the start of a new school year. There's cleaning, maintenance, and
making sure that the teachers have done their proper planning, making sure the classrooms are ready, making sure we have all of our supplies, we have enough books.
All things that directly affect students. More difficult to do when the day school will start is in question.
Uncertainty, sometimes people are a little bit nervous when things are uncertain.
The team out there met with all the principals of the 51 schools, and with very few exceptions, the principals say we want to open on the date it was originally set, which is the 20th.
The kids have a little bit more freedom in the summer.
Like other principals, Sullivan can now move forward with plans he says were already in motion, which is good news for the students he calls his young scholars.
Bringing our students back and our parents and letting them have confidence in our school system that we can get the job done.
And it's a job that's not yet finished. Staff is being moved around the school system after those layoffs and demotions yesterday. But the local and state superintendents say they will have all of that worked out in plenty of time. Students, they say, will return to a familiar environment. Live in the newsroom, Scott Packard, CBS 42 News.
Now, demotions and actual job cuts will hit nearly 200 people. And today, the 118 people who've definitely been let go are wondering what's next.
And now the Alabama Education Association is prepared to offer legal advice. AEA Representative Lance Heitch expects most of those people to come in for at least some sort of guidance. He says the decision to make the cuts was disappointing, unnecessary, and potentially a violation of law.
We're going to do everything at AEA we can to put them in a position somewhere else. If we can't get them hired back in this school district, we'll be looking to surrounding school districts. And if that doesn't work out, we're going to hold a job fair. We're going to make sure our folks are taken care of.
It's been moved and seconded.
The organization will be reviewing individual cases to determine the best course of action. We're told those official termination notices started going out this afternoon.
Hundreds of casino gambling machines are taken out of a venue known for controversy. Today, state and local law enforcement raided Center Stage near Dothan. State Attorney General Luther Strange says the facility was using illegal machines. The Houston County Electronic Bingo Casino reopened last July. Now, you may better know this place as Country Crossing. It was shut down in 2010 as part of then Governor Bob Riley's crackdown on gambling. Developer Ronnie Gilly pleaded guilty to offering bribes to legislators to support pro-gambling legislation.
After more than 6 years behind bars for a corruption conviction, former HealthSouth CEO Richard Scrushy is a free man. A spokesperson for the Federal Bureau of Prisons confirms his sentence ends today. In April, Scrushy was released to a halfway house in the Houston area. Now, he will still serve 3 years probation and must perform 500 hours of community service.
An undercover officer helps nab a man who police say emailed child pornography using computers at the Jane Culberth Public Library in Leeds. 32-year-old James Martin is accused of sending several illegal images. The criminal complaint goes back to November 30th.
You have a voice. That's the message encouraging young people to attend an anti-bullying rally next month. The event will take place at 6 p.m. on August 25th at Moody High School's Bill Morris Stadium. The event is free. Keynote speakers are from the groups Stand for the Silent and the Megan Mayer Foundation. A child ends up in state custody after being abandoned at a Walmart. It happened as store security was questioning two women suspected of shoplifting. Now in the video here, you can see the women leaving the store in Ocala, Florida, when security runs up to intercept them. Immediately, one woman runs off, leaving a 1-year-old sitting in the cart. The baby's aunt starts to drag the cart to the parking lot, but then she takes off as well.
When the loss prevention officer asked her, "Are you going to come and get your child?" she said, "It's not my child, it's not my child," and she continued to leave, and then they both abandoned the baby.
Police caught up with both women the next night. Turns out the baby's mother was neither of those women. She was on probation and under house arrest on a home invasion conviction. The baby's mother and aunt are both in jail.
Now to that story we told you about at the top of our newscast. Capital murder charges have been filed in the shooting death of Birmingham police officer Joseph Daniels on November 18th of 2002. Officer Daniels interrupted a robbery at Reno's on Graymont Avenue. A shootout followed. Daniels chased the suspect from the restaurant, collapsed, and died from his chest wounds. He'd been a 10-year veteran of the North Precinct. The suspect who's been arrested is Adam Bradford. He's being held at the St. Clair County Jail right now. Bradford has an arrest history which includes drug and robbery charges. We'll have more on this story later on CBS 42 News here at 5 and at 6 o'clock. Mourners gathered for the first memorial service of the victims of the shooting rampage in a Colorado theater. Family members remembered Gordon Cowden in Denver today. The 51-year-old father of 4 was one of 12 people killed during the midnight showing of that new Batman movie. Cowden's 2 teenage daughters were with him at the movie when the shooting happened. They were not injured. He will be laid to rest later this week. Well, the accused gunman, James Holman, reportedly mailed a notebook full of details about how he was going to kill people just before the attack.
A law enforcement source was quoted as saying Holmes sent it to a psychiatrist at the University of Colorado, but it sat unopened in a mailroom until Monday. Another new report says Holmes originally planned to drive to New York City for the premiere of The Dark Knight Rises. The report says he wanted to do that so he could kill the stars of the movie. Police say Holmes changed his mind because he was afraid he would be caught with a carload of weapons. Investigators are trying to recreate the Colorado shooting using computer technology.
They can take, say, ballistic evidence. It'll actually show them the trajectory of the bullets.
Now, Holmes' neighbors were hoping to return to their apartments today, but investigators are still processing evidence in his apartment.
Exactly 1 week from today, if you text behind the wheel, you will be faced with a fine. But for the past couple of years, texting while driving has cost people a lot more than a $25 or $50 fine. It's cost thousands of lives. A new study from the Center for Advanced Public Safety shows that 16 to 20-year-olds are the worst offenders, and they are involved in the most accidents. On average, while texting, people will take their eyes off the road for 4.4 seconds.
It is something many of us will face sooner or later, how to care for aging parents. Our Rick Jackson will explore some options.
A simple test and internet access is allowing people to look at possible health problems before they arise.
And why those 4-letter words could keep you from getting that next big promotion.
And in weather, we're going to talk about our rain chances coming up for the weekend, but it feels over 100 here. We'll talk about your weather details next on CBS 42 News at 5.